I love that players are busting out the emojis for the good luck, have funs. And of course, Beastyqt in little doji. But all right, we're back, and it's game number 1 in a brand new best of 3. Spawning here at the top left side of King Sejong Station. What? This old ass map, ladies and gentlemen. The light blue Terran, Beastyqt.
In the bottom right, as the yellow Zerg and teammate, it is Elazer.
So, King Sejong, we've talked a little bit about. We got to see it a couple times yesterday, granted in more like hilarious fashions though. One of the things though is it is an older map, and they're looking to bring back some other older maps too. Frost, I believe, is the other one slated to return, so we may end up adding that to the map pool for the TING qualifiers sooner than later, because it's pretty much been confirmed at this point that they're going to be removing Preon Terraces and Core Hall Carnage Knockout and replacing it with these two. There's also supposedly a balance patch that is coming much sooner than I had expected as well.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. And, you know, it might not... well, actually...
I'm just glad it hits before the main event for us.
That's true, yes.
I'd rather have a balance patch interrupt the qualifiers than interrupt, like, you know, group stage 3.
Yeah, like semifinals, yeah. For sure. So, something interesting, like, Elazer gets into the lobby and he's like, finally an interesting map. And I'm like, for TVZ, aren't you worried? And I already felt a little bad about this, because I've actually wanted to talk about 2 pro gamers in the lobbies about their map choices before, but then I was like, well, I don't want to, you know, like, I don't want to make them feel pressured or accidentally give away their secret. Like, oh, you're picking this map, what are you going to do, 3 Racks Reaper? Ha ha ha, and then that's exactly what they were planning on doing. So Elazer was like, why would I be worried? Oh, Liberators? And BC just gave him like a smiley face. So...
Isn't it like a Marine smiley face too? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So
what I hate about this smiley face is such a fucking like shitty smile. Like, look at it. It's like that little trolley smiley face. Like,
I just hate that everything wants to take away my colon D. Okay, like.
Oh,
that's
the Overlord.
Type that I like. All right. Yeah. There's so many old things about King Sejong Station that were very cool for its time. Stop trying to do it, or you're. I can't wait till one day someone's trying to do an emoji and then they misclick or something. Ends the game for them. It's probably already happened on ladder, but anyway, like this little spot, you know, like King Sejong, it was back in the day when almost every single map had to have an Overlord spot.
Yeah, the little nooks above the natural for the scouting. I think those little spots are more annoying than anything else, because if you remember, we quickly saw people do things like lifting their second racks to like get vision on it. They'd still kill it. Like this became less of a problem as time went on, but it is a bit of a freebie if anyone wants to play the way, say, for example, Beasty's playing.
Yeah, like Polar Knight had it. I mean, there's so many, and it was pretty like essential, but it's not anymore. I guess that's another like map process that has actually changed. So, you know, speaking of map process and Liberators, the Overlord thing's cool, but seriously, Liberators. Like, I really want to see if Liberators are broken in this map. I can't imagine that they are, and that they would let the map through. They would have tested that first, but.
So the 2 locations we look at immediately for this is obviously outside the natural. Now you can fit a Spore Crawler back there, so it's not going to be like as broken as say like Madness. And down here it doesn't have so much dead airspace, but I think early on it's going to be really hard to get a Queen off creep all the way around here to get in range of the Liberator, because you can't put Spores behind the Mineralizer. Spore Crawlers will not stop a Liberator from shutting down a 3rd. And then of course at the 4th, same sort of problem. You've got this back area on that cliff.
Yeah, that actually will complicate taking that as a 4th even more. I mean, back when King Sejong was like in the map pool, it was always a decision to go for that one or the one to the north of what we're looking at right now, basically. But it'll be interesting. We do have an armory on the way, and Beastyqt might be going for more than just 1 or 2 Liberators. We'll be going for this Hellbat push we saw, pretty close to what we saw last game. I think the timing might just be a little bit faster. 6 Hell instead of 8. We'll see. And the Liberator is... Okay, it is going to siege up before it turns into Hellbats.
Well, this is a problem.
Yeah, nothing to help defend against this. The Hellions are about to pop out, but the Hellions have to run back to ensure that not too many SCVs die.
Yeah, they do manage to minimize losses. It's loss mining through this, which is annoying, but that wall... I forgot how awkward walling is. I know you brought that up last time we were casting Protoss on this map, but yeah, the natural base is not a quick wall off. Third CC in the main, did it get scouted though? This is actually kind of a big detail. No, so Elazer didn't actually get over there with an Overlord or any of the links to slip through, and the reason that is so concerning is, once again, if you see a tank over third CC, usually you know where you're about with your army. Elazer is not going to feel the need to put on pressure, probably just looking to defend and just keep droning, when you really could take advantage of a situation that is like 2 or 3 Liberators and 6 Hellions. Like, that's the army. That's broken so easily by like almost like Queens alone.
So, Elazer did scout the reactor on the starport pretty early, so maybe he has an idea of what is to come, but we still don't see more starports, so we do have the armory actually researching ship weapons. And there's finally the Hellbat attack, which again is coming at such an odd time that Elazer might not have expected it. That was a nice type on that first Liberator, but a second one's already here.
He does have like 6 Queens, a Spore, and a Spine. I mean, like, this could very well get out of hand. I'm not going to pretend like it isn't, but without a medevac, I feel like this should also be something he can clean up with, well, transfuses to help band-aid anything. I mean, the Spore can't take damage from the Liberators. The Spine can't take damage from the Liberators. But it looks like he can't quite get in here to defend the hatchery, so maybe this is a bit problematic. He's going to go around to try and take care of the Liberators. But the Hellbat's going to kill that third while this goes on. We got a counterattack, but that wall is actually up now, so... Oh, well, maybe not.
Well, there you go. Now it's not foolproof. So, okay, that's quite unfortunate. There's so many Hellbats, and they took down the hatchery quick enough. Even if Elazer had thought about sending the Queens to the back earlier, it still probably would have gone down, still losing drones as well. And this was actually not the problem 100% of the Liberators, but the Liberators certainly helped.
What's really cool for me on watching this is this wasn't really a King Sejong problem. This exact same thing could have happened on many other maps. Yeah, but exactly. Well done by BC. Good drone kills. Killing that third, obviously a really big deal. Scouts the main to confirm mutas are in fact out in play. The worst feeling in the world is getting caught off guard, not with enough anti-air, but with 3 starports, you're going to have anti-air.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Missile starts coming down in case the Liberators, you know, I mean, they can't be everywhere at once until they're in higher numbers. Unfortunately, missile turrets are not quite done yet, but the mutas, they're not going to do enough damage. They should just be sent back pretty quickly here with 4 Liberators already out and actually tangoing with them. That's dangerous. And the fact that he's actually upgrading them is pretty bad. But Beastyqt, I think he transferred SCVs into a bunch of Lings, so he lost 20 really quickly. The Hellbats got over here way too late, and that's going to bring him back down to 45 SCVs. Not terrible. I guess some of that was from the mutas, but...
Right, I was going to say, this wasn't like a bailing hit over here. This was a significant amount of the mutas getting kills in that third. But still, point being, Elazer needed to do that damage. He needed to bring the game back in a more even footing. So, well done to him, as he does kind of bring that worker count to a more manageable number. But the problem still persisting going forward is, A, we have Liberators. Okay, we know that that's going to be a problem for the air. But secondly, Beasty's going for a lot of Banshees. Now, if you're going mass Liberator, like, okay, you're going to take control of the sky, maybe bully some drone lines, but you can't actually kill anything building-wise. These Banshees, they'll tear through Queens. 5 Banshees can easily kill a Spore Crawler, for example. I mean, I'm actually really worried for Elazer right now. I just do not think, even with Corruptors on the way, I don't think he can deal with this army.
It's just a pretty dirty build, you know? Like, it's a 1-2 punch, and... I mean, the first punch of Beastyqt did a lot of damage. Even if he didn't have an immediate follow-up, he's still in a very good position, but having a follow-up push is going to be difficult for Elazer to defend against.
Oh, he lost him. Is he scanning the left side, hoping to find them? These are going to hit the main...
Turrets. I mean... Oh, missile turret.
I think, though, if it comes to, like, a race in this situation, I actually... rarely do you say, oh, mutas can't do anything, but I don't think they can in this. The Banshee gets picked off almost right away. Again, almost buzzing into the Spore Crawler, but look at that splash damage. Elazer
oh, Jesus.
goes for
just
some
a little bit too late in the
but...
transfuses. Just like a second late on them. The Queens are still a bit of a problem. The Spore Crawler is really helping out against these Banshees.
There's so many transfuses, but even so, even with the spread on the Corruptors being what it is, the Liberators are just such a large number.
Oh my god, the mutas, they killed a starport. They might kill a second starport.
Okay, this might actually be getting out of hand for BC back at home then. He's going to start trying to repair this. He wants to get those reactor Liberators out. He does turn around and go back home. Probably the smarter move in this situation. For Elazer, though, getting around that army with the mutas initially was really important. Again, we saw BC scan like the left side of the map. He had no idea where the mutas went. Obviously, he wanted to fight those instead of anything else. Hyperflight Rotors starts up as well, so the Banshee's going to have some speed, but the Banshee's got picked off in that attack, too.
Starting from 0, and of course now with 1 starport less in production, doesn't have the reactor on the second starport, has to rebuild all of that, and things have actually less
See
so
ya?
about like the numbers here, but more about the momentum. He doesn't actually have much to defend against this, but there you go.
That's a significant amount of banelings.
Let's have the crash to the supply depot, and hopefully the SCV splits are good. I go for the Hellbat first. Okay, with those
Okay,
two.
that was
Those
awkward. He still gets some
two.
pretty good hits in that natural mineral
Yeah,
line. But,
this might be game for Beastyqt. He's gonna be
Like,
setting
he's-
all of his units to 0.
Like, there's things here about BC I really enjoy, but he's doing silly things like the turret's right there, back up into the turret. Use it to your advantage. Don't just fight the corruptors in the middle of nowhere. Walls down, but I don't know. This should have been Beastie's game through and through. If not for that Buta attack, it really messed him up.
It did, yeah. Well, I guess it just proves that this isn't this isn't like the end all be all build, because this is the 3rd time that we've seen this actually. Beastyqt does it a little bit later, I suppose, than what we saw yesterday with oh god, who was it? Keen? No. Oh god, it was versus Scarlet. But anyway, actually this is looking like a really game with the SCVs all dying here now. But anyways,
I'm really surprised we
looks
don't
so
have
powerful.
attempts at Vikings. Like, Liberators are great, but I mean, if it's the corruptors that are the problem, I don't know, maybe a couple
Yeah.
Vikings wouldn't be too bad.
I
I mean,
don't
one thing
know.
that Lazer's doing that I really enjoy is he's spreading his corruptors out. Like, he's consistently pulling 1 or 2 off and just putting them on each side, because it is only splash damage that makes Liberators great. Their single target damage is not very good.
Oh no, not at all.
Caustic spray on the command
That,
center.
that might have been the better option, but I
Oh,
think it
don't
was
fly
just,
into them. Oh, no.
it was just a situation where there wasn't enough of anything. I mean, 3 starport production, when you consider that 1 had a tech lab for the Banshees, is not as much as obviously like 7 barracks of reactive Marines, right? So
Well, good game gets called, and the Laser will be the one to walk away here with game number 1 in his
yeah,
King Sejong pocket. That started off looking so good for Beastie. I'm just surprised that got turned around the way it did.
it's also just I think a powerful build that's been coming in the last like month or so. That if the initial damage is anything at all, it feels like the follow-up's really hard to deal with. But those mutas were oddly enough pretty key, which you would think would be the opposite with so many liberators.
So what is map number 2?
Frozen. I also want to note that okay, King Sejong is not broken for liberators. I'm glad that there is at least some homework done for it. That 4th/5th might be a little complicated, but I guess there's just so much dead space behind your mineral line that it's not as bad. Because really the problem with a lot of Liberator builds on specific maps is that there's no space between the mineral line and the back of your base. So you can't put a Spore Crawler back there, or the Liberator really does just get right up on the mineral line, as opposed to having to be cautious. I guess it's actually okay. Okie dokie.
Honky dory. All right, well, whenever the players are ready, get the intro loaded up. Yo, I didn't get a portrait for watching DreamHack Tours, man.
Those bitches.
I'm not a collector, so I don't really care, but
Yeah, they're not that fun to collect. I mean, they're just like the shape of the country/state.
But that Hell It's a Boot time portrait, that's
That's
another.
a cool one.
That's a
Yeah.
really cool one. That's like the best one.
Totally.
Okay, let's see you guys here in a sec. All right, game number 2 in this best of 3 for the Ting Open. Again, guys, make sure to check out our sponsors, bttv.ting.com, because without them we wouldn't have this tournament. It is the 2nd season of Ting, and we're hoping for a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th and a 6th and so forth. Spawning on the bottom right side of Frozen Temple, though, we got the blue Terran player, Beastyqt.
In the top left as the yellow Zerg, it is Elazer.
So just a quick note, once more, looking at the brackets before we get too far into this game. Still plenty of amazing matches to be had today. We're probably going to have a little bit of a longer cast than yesterday, which is not a bad thing at all. And again, thank you to our friends over at TING for helping us cover some of these games, because there are so many of them. So if you guys want to check out another stream, make sure to check out TING and tell them BaseTradeTV sent you.
Yeah. Yesterday was like a 4-hour cast, but only mostly because of that Scarlet versus Salvation game.
Well, not only that,
Okay.
but we also took like a good 15-minute break for like the arcade block announcement, which, by the way,
that too.
quick plug, guys, check out the down below in the Twitch info bars. The StarCraft 2 Risk board game is still up and available. That'll be going for about a month or so before we draw the winner of that. I think we had 3 people actually purchase subscriptions yesterday, because we had three entries.
Nice.
It's a good start. I think our goal is only to get 5 as well, or something like that. Like, it's not, we're not setting our standards too high on that one, but that'd be really cool to see.
By the way, I mean, we kept on saying it wrong, right? We went to say arcade block, we kept on nerd block.
Well, nerd block, it's the same company, but
yeah,
like, arcade block is the one we trying to sell.
We're holding, but like they call them different blocks, and they even have different Twitters for all of their blocks.
Yeah, did you have like all of them follow you
Yes.
yesterday? I had all of them follow. I'm like, oh, cool, 8 new follow. What?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Anyways, Elazer is gonna be sneaking some lings around the side of the map. Kind of a cool move instead of running right down the middle, giving this away. Not that that's a huge deal, but it is the possibility of killing a command center, or rather, killing the SCV building the command center. BC is gonna have a single marine, and I feel like it's almost gonna get baited, looking for this overlord. No, it's going for the other one. So this really sucks. There's nothing to keep this SCV alive.
Yeah, well, just taking the SCV off, the good news is Elazer's not going for the immediate follow-up of, like, Ling speed, which could actually kill the command center.
He pulled workers into this. I don't know.
He really wanted to get to building a command center again. He probably thought he could do it with the Marine.
I mean,
Marine
it's
died
just,
first.
With slow Lings, I feel like you could have just run around for a bit.
Well, because... It was a difference of like a second or two that he thought he could have. I mean, it ended up being a colossal mistake.
Yeah. So 4 SCVs go down. We do have a third base coming for both.
Yeah. Okay, so no more shenanigan kind of builds, because really that Hellbat push into Liberator build, it feels a little like, okay, maybe once every best of, but if people are starting to watch your games, maybe not. I don't know if it can be like particularly hard countered, but it does feel a little shenanigansy. Yeah.
Hey, Farva,
there you
what's
go.
the name of that restaurant you like? Do all the weird shit on the wall.
Yeah, anyways, and Beastyqt is not just like a one-trick pony at all, of course, so while he's still going with a Hellion opener, and hell, he might even still go for mech. I mean, this is what's really fun about watching Beastyqt, and it sucks he never gets like he never, really wins the qualifiers or wins the tournaments. He's always to blast to catch up until like usually the round of 4, at the very least the round of 8. Something I would expect he might be able to get to, but of course being down 1 is already a sucky position.
Elazer's a really good player just in general. We actually got to meet him at DreamHack Austin, which was kind of cool. He's one of the few people who kind of snuck into an after party. But he's a good player. Like, the thing is, you find Elazer on a bracket, and nobody wants that part of the bracket. Like, not ZVZ, not ZvT, not ZVP. So, I mean, if Beastie wins this matchup, I'm feeling pretty good for him to keep moving on. But he does have to actually win. Now, you bring up the topic of possibly mech, whether it's ground mech or air mech. I do think they're both totally viable with the way he plays. I do miss his old style, though, where he would just, like, turtle up to ghosts. I always thought that was, like, one of his best ways to play, but perhaps just frustrated with that play style or finds it doesn't work against certain players. We haven't seen him do it for quite some time. I'm waiting to see another Starport take this tech lab, though.
Yeah, maybe. So the first 2 Liberators that have a reactor isn't too funky, but it is like a Banshee into double reactored, or double Liberators. So, okay, there is that armory, and I guess this is just an even further delayed build with the 3rd CC down first and foremost. And we'll see if Elazer is once again caught off guard by the timing, because let's not forget how much damage it did last game. It did kill a 3rd base. The Liberators covered the Hellbats, and enough Hellbats will kill a hatchery fairly quickly. Something that can be replicated on this map too.
Well, the move out is not going to be too screwed up by these Lings running around. It's like 4, so scouting hype.
Yeah, just scouting.
Actually, pretty good to now, though, because if those got to the main and saw like a 3rd Starport come out once again, we'd have that very early Spire. But not going to be too much time to dawdle and look around. That is, again, a significant amount of Hellbats and even a Banshee in that front line.
Yeah,
the Liberator's going to provide a little bit of cover, but truth be told, they don't actually need to push near that Spore Caller. They can just put pressure towards the actual base, and there we have it.
Yeah, exactly like the last game, except that hopefully Elazer will have more of a ground army as opposed to just
that's
queens.
Spore Crawler. That's wishful thinking.
That was wishful thinking, absolutely. But transfuses go down on it. If you can kill at least one of the Liberators, it would help so much.
I was going to say, transfuses going into it, sure, but that's also a hell of a lot of Hellbats. It was right in the middle of all of them. Another Spore Crawler going to come to that front line. Banshee can help focus fire down this time. And with the Banshee fire on this certainly is going to go down. Now, this isn't killing a lot right now, but it is also denying complete production of this 3rd. Like, look at this. Eggs are popping. Larva dies. Elazer can't actually build anything from this base at all.
Yeah. Oh, Run Queen. Still building a queen from that base, like still mining off of that base. Seems like it's very dangerous, but it's better to mine. The Hellbats weren't focusing on the drones. They're focused on the base, and the drones could actually just get to the fourth, which Elazer took almost. It almost feels preemptively, but he's banking a lot of minerals. He's going to be able to get at least 6 mutas with the gas count that he has, and replant the third base as soon as his attack leaves.
I like going to Hellion mode, trying to chase down whatever drones you can find. And there are going to be some here on the right side. You should probably start considering pulling back, though. And it's not about the queens, but you mentioned like there's going to be air, there's going to be mutas. We did find out that second starport and the third starport, and it's all revealed and scouted as well. This time around, Beasty, I mean, like we got +1 air weapons. That's going to be really cool. He's going for the Liberators once again, as well as Banshees. But I don't know, Elazer just showed such good control with the Corruptors last time, and the mutas catching him off guard was almost. I don't want to call it a lucky break, because it's not like Elazer's a player with no skill and relies on luck, but it was a lucky break, and he caught BC off guard with it.
It was a common Terran mistake of any Terran type, mech, sky, bio, like not covering your production facilities with missile turrets, just covering your mineral lines. And I don't. Beastyqt should be putting a lot more minerals into missile turrets this game. At least 1 or 2 more. Same 2 in the natural as it was last game. Liberators once again taking down a couple of the mutas. Elazer this time is not going to stick on mutas. This is his only hope, though. He is transferring over into those roaches, and with that, that's where I'm not sure. Like those mutas backstabbing when Beastyqt pushed out was really what brought Elazer back into the game.
I actually don't think the roaches are a terrible idea, because I don't think it's so much about the roaches as it is about the corrosive biles from the Ravagers.
Yes,
if the focus on this game is dealing with the Liberators. But the problem is, as we see, and I guess Elazer didn't really get to see, was there's focus on the Hyperflight Rotors, on the Banshees, like...
So, this is the exact map, in almost the exact same position, but not quite, of Scarlet versus Forte. And Scarlet tried to go for roaches as well. She actually dealt better with the first Hellbat attack, though. Oh, so much for those mutas. That first Hellbat attack from Forte was like 4 Hellbats, and it killed like it didn't kill a third base. So you would think that she would have done better against this. But the follow-up is actually just the Banshees right now. Not moving on with the Liberators quite yet. Scan's hoping to see what type of army Elazer has, but it's not really an army yet.
Really important scan in the main does reveal that Hive is on the way as well. So it's not even just like, oh, okay, where's the army at? It's also like what army is coming. So, again, Hive Tech, you're really, I think at this stage, more worried about Vipers than anything else. But we'll see if he ends up going Ghost or not, because that'll be the indication of like whether he's really, really scared. Big Hellion, big Hellbat, and Banshee Tech up here to the north. Couple of Ravagers were made, but Corrosive Biles aren't going to stop this.
Well, I was actually thinking more about the queens here. So they do have a lot of transfuses, but they're going to have to transfuse like a Ravager through a ton of liberation zones, and that's pretty scary. Additionally, Beastyqt doesn't really know if there's Corruptors waiting, because the Spire is still around. Even if you took out all the mutas, there could be 4 Corruptors that would stop, you can't go all into ground mode with Liberators if that's going to be the case, even though that actually wasn't right there. So he is actually forced back fairly easily by Elazer. And it's just going to be actually a very long mech game. He got a 4th CC, a 5th CC, no, even a 6th one. Damn. Well, and a 7th. Holy shit.
This is where when you're playing a style that does involve more gas-heavy units, you can be floating some money. You can build the extra CCs. Yeah. You throw out extra Hellions for harass and all that good stuff. This is kind of annoying. That one muta from earlier that barely lived.
Wow. Wow.
Beasty, can you please? There we go. Liberator's on the way. One thing I'm really curious about is whether we're going to see repairs or not. We talked about this last time. We saw Air Army. We'll talk about it now again. At a point in this game, Liberators can be too expensive to replace, so repairing becomes a lot more important. Banshees, by the way, are like in the numbers of 7. Splitting those up into 3 and splitting them up into 4.
Man. I wanted you to watch them as they got the speed boost kicked in, but... You missed it. But still, they're very fast. They're off to the right side right now, and they do have that speed. They also have at least 2 upgrades, so they're doing a lot of damage with each
This hatchery's going to go down so
shot.
quick.
Yeah. There's transfuses available, but I would say that it's not even really worth using all transfuses on that. He's going to try.
And for Beasty, if he gets the hatchery, there's still like 6 others. So I don't know that this is worth losing Banshees over, but he does only lose 1.
Yeah, because, I mean, this all goes back to, okay, killing a 3rd looks devastating, you know? But, that didn't work out. It looks devastating, but Elazer's always had a bit of a bank to replace hatcheries with.
Roach drops that will not be effective.
No, they will
Rip!
die.
Oh my god!
Terrible death.
Look at that supply chunk that just disappeared.
He wasn't even paying attention. What's off to the left side? Oh, the Banshees came over to pound
Banshees.
I mean, the Corsair Bottles are never going to hit Banshees with or without speed, so they are screwed.
Well,
Their hatch is going to go down.
It's more like they should never hit Banshees.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is
very
the
good
Banshee at full health can eat a parasitic bomb, but when you're a little bit low, it gets a bit spooky. So he splits and they all live, but I don't think he can take more than that. Parasitic bomb, again, a really scary ability that does way too much damage in the past, but now is a lot more manageable.
Yeah. I like this scan, realizing that Elazer is like, you know, kind of really out expanding him, which is not surprising. You know, Zerg is Zerg and all, but making sure he doesn't get away with secret bases.
I like this extra orbital he made, by the way. The mule is going to be really important later on because you don't, like 70 SCVs right now, you actually don't want that many later on. You're going to want to be throwing these away so you can get a bigger army for it. But at any rate, these Banshees are going to get another base snipe. That'll be nice. Roach is going to run around on the right side of the map. BC doesn't have a lot on the ground, but enough to take on those roaches for certain.
Yeah, both of them should be like killing their worker counts soon.
This is so much worse for a laser if BC were to commit, but a couple of Liberators go down to the parasitic bombs.
Yeah.
That was most of the energy too on those.
He's got like a couple of Hydras mixed in here, which is kind of funny. Of course, Queens would be desirable, but they can't catch up with the army. They can't roam around like this, so it's got to be Hydras.
So Blinding Cloud and the Planetary Fortress has a really weird dynamic to it.
Yeah?
I'll go into that in a second, actually, as he continues to chase this back. I guess he's not going to overcommit. As we start leapfrogging forward, trying to get like 1 or 2 Liberators at a time. I really am, like with the heavy Queen count, the heavy Viper count, like I'm waiting to see whether Ghosts come out or not. Like EMPs could actually be a huge deal.
I think the problem with that, as with any mech build, is that there's not enough production for Ghosts.
That's true.
You would be building one at a time.
That's very true. Well, I was going to just brute force it in. Who cares about transfuses if you're not using them? Elazer like dies with 3 full energy Queens. That's a bit awkward. Banshee now getting on top of the Ravagers. And while this build may not have worked in game number 1, it is working a lot better here. But I have to bring up the point. Like, why was there no Corruptors at any point out of Elazer?
That is a really good point. I don't know. He must have just thought that the Liberator count would be too high, but the thing is that if any of the Liberators siege up an anti-ground, you can try and snipe them, you know? Like, make it into more of a positional game than a brute force one.
There's that, but also, I mean, the armor value is something that definitely needs to be noted, but when he split them, and he was specifically splitting them last game, we saw how ineffective Liberators became. The choice to focus on Hydras and Ravagers for anti-air is not a horrible one, but it's, I just feel like not the right choice for this scenario.
I mean, like, it's always funny.
Though.
But the thing that's scary is not the Liberators for the Hydras. It is, for me, the Banshees. Like, there's not so many Hydras, but there wasn't so many Banshees either. But once Banshees get into accounts of like 8 or 9, they can actually start taking out Hydras too. But it's actually Elazer who had the bigger bank, so of course he's the one that's not below 100 supply, unlike Beastyqt, who was slowly losing his army over the last 2 minutes we've been talking and has a much harder time replacing all of it.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of that normally has to do with your gas count, but he's actually got a lot of gas. He's searching for minerals at this point. But talking about the Planetary Fortress, going back there for a second, like, okay, so you can Blinding Cloud a Planetary Fortress, and what's really frustrating is the fact that, like, even though just like the edge of a Blinding Cloud clipping on it can sometimes cause it to bug out. But what I learned more recently, because I don't play Zerg that often, is apparently if you're in melee range of a Blinding Cloud, it can still shoot you anyway.
Yes. I remember that when I first saw it, yeah.
Well, what I was getting worried about there with the laser starting to move around the way he was, like if those roaches get too close, then suddenly the Planetary can hit, and that splash damage will hit the back line as well. It'll hit the Hydras, it'll hit the roaches. So, you know, if you are going to run up Blinding Cloud and try to break a fortress like that, you got to be careful. You don't let it attack, I guess.
We get a new sub on a couch.
On a coach? This guy's an idiot, Zombie. Do not praise him. I love this guy to death. I was talking to him yesterday, and he had alt as his push to talk key. He's playing World of Warcraft. He's got F4 bound as one of his abilities. So while we're talking, he keeps like closing out of the game by alt F4. He's a dummy.
That is actually pretty funny. All right, so it looks like Elazer is winning this game. He just had bigger bank. He was easily replacing all of the drones he was losing, or all of the hatcheries he was losing.
I love this.
And was just winning with Roach Hydra. Well upgraded Roach Hydra as well.
One of the things I think that was missing from this game, and we're still not really seeing the greatest example of here. I don't like this, by the way. Too many planetaries, too many orbitals and whatnot. But Hellion Rembis are actually fantastic. And in instances where Elazer's consistently had a majority of his army here on the bottom left, BC should have been more consistently sending 2 to 4 Hellions up to the top right every time. And I mean, That could have got a lot more drone kills depending on how this game goes. But we do have Vipers going to abduct over these Liberators, so the planetary is blinded once again.
Yes, it is. But the Liberators just go back and turn in the mode anyway, and the rest of the army does come forward here. Unfortunately, oh, actually, I thought it was the rest of the army. I was wrong. That was just a single Liberator.
Oh, he stopped preparing for a second. I don't know what that was about.
That's death right there. So I was wondering where the rest of the army was. It's now in position. It's really not that big of an army, though. Beastyqt only at 124 supply is looking like he's about to lose right here.
I don't know. It's questionable because I feel like what he has behind this is great to deal with it. You really don't need that much to kill Hydras. It's these Vipers that have been such a nuisance for him. I mean, 17 Hydras being produced right now, that's scary, but like 3 Liberators can deal with that if positioned correctly. It's a silly dynamic. It's like a depths in some situations.
Elazer is just going for the, okay, you might kill 4 of my Hydras, but I'll eventually kill your Liberators because they can't move tactic.
He's going to eventually whittle away at the more expensive army of BC. And one of the things about Elazer having expanded the way he did, having gone so crazy the way he did, is he really does have money to throw. I mean, his supply's always been looking better this game, and that's not because he's inflating it with roaches. He's just able to produce. This planetary should probably, I guess, get repaired. He does get repaired once he lifts it. I do like that BC went for building armor, by the way. Kudos to that.
Yeah, that was a clumsy rally from Elazer. But you know, I know you brought up Hellion run-bys earlier. I was going to bring up Banshee run-bys. At least a few times. We've seen the Banshees as part of the main push, and they've done a decent amount of damage. You know, they have like, really good damage output, but they've ended up dying. We haven't seen so much of them roaming around trying to kill stuff. They seem to have not been very good at that, which usually they are very good at. Like, they're great at sniping bases to the point of where it's stupid. The Zerg starts to really get frustrated because Spore Crawlers won't cover it, and their army can't keep up with the Banshees. So Beastyqt is going back into them, realizing that he needs more harassment. But if he uses them with the main army again, they're probably just going to die. Blink.
Well, Liberator's going to take out some of the Hydras, but as we see, the Abducts are just a little too good. And I guess what's nice is if an Abduct almost guarantees a kill, it's better than a Parasitic Bomb, because you can cast 2 Abducts per full energy Viper. You can only cast 1 Parasitic Bomb.
Finally, the Vipers are going down.
Well, not only the Vipers finally go down, so are most of the Liberators, though. And once again, it's a lot harder for BC to replace his army than it is for Elazer.
Oddly enough, Elazer has dipped down a little bit in his bank and his remax. He was remaxing up of like 50 army supply above that of Beastyqt, and I guess he has lost a couple of drones. I think at the max he was maybe at 80, or maybe I'm remembering the wrong game. Okay, he's going back up to 74, so their supplies aren't as bad as it looked like it should have been these last 3 minutes. I mean, with Beastyqt losing 3 bases, like, you know, planetary, 2 orbitals, with him losing SCVs and most of his army, I really thought the supplies would look a lot worse. But Beastyqt is actually holding pretty strong right now. Maybe the Banshees can continue to take out a couple of units if an Overseer's not chasing, or, you know, Spore Crawlers aren't around.
Well, I guess that's the point of these, though. Like, even if an Overseer chases, you can actually outrun it with the Speed Banshees.
Run, run, run. There's a couple of abducts from a couple of new Vipers, more on the way as well, and actually that is it for the Banshees. So that's really unfortunate. I mean, they can be very good. If they were attacking up here, then it would have taken forever for Elazer to go and respawn. They would have sniped the hatchery, but unfortunately they did choose the path that took them through the Zerg army.
Yeah. So what's kind of interesting is the balance. I keep looking at BC's bank, expecting it to be really, really empty. And I mean, it is small, don't get me wrong, sizes and everything, all that stuff, but I was expecting him to be so much more gas-starved this game than mineral-starved, but he has been so hungry for minerals. Like, that has actually been a limiting factor in a lot of his production. Which is just strange, because, I mean, I play Mac myself, and I adore other Mac players, so all I do is watch Mac, and usually this isn't quite the case. It's usually the other way around, but I guess with the air focus this game, it's not so surprising. Just strange to see. Now, again, so many Banshees is really awesome.
There you go. And then move. Run, Banshees, run. And take out that face.
What I get worried about is because he's invested in so many Banshees, he doesn't have a lot to fight head-on anymore. Like, dealing with these Hydras is actually really tough. Now, he does actually potentially come into a bad position. Abducts are going to go off once again. There's about 10 Abducts for all these Vipers, or all these Liberators. It's not a problem. Banshees coming to the fight, decide to fight head-on. Most of the Hydras going down immediately.
There's no Overseer.
There is.
Wait, wait.
It's literally right here. Hello.
Oh, there it is. It was running. It was running through the army. The Banshees actually got to the top, and they were doing quite a lot of damage.
So I want to actually explain what just happened for Elazer. That was the big mistake, though, and it was like he had all the right moves, but he moved in before abducting. Like he moved in and abducted at the same time. If he had pulled off the abducts first, then moved in, his Hydras wouldn't have been fighting Banshees and Liberators. It would have been one or the other. The fact that he chose to play both at the same time, his army melted. And now this actually gets a little bit sticky. What's kind of funny about having 28 Hydras being the remax, suddenly Blue Flame Hellions become a lot more viable for their cost effectiveness.
That was something else I was going to bring up. The Banshees are doing a lot of damage, and they certainly were. Like, they really have to go down very quickly, or they do take units out very, very quickly. The Blue Flame Hellions wasn't too bad against that army composition either. That was mostly Hydras. But now miscontrolling his units, not sending them away, loses the rest of those Banshees.
So this is so funny to watch because, like, look at the actual workers killed, right? It's high enough, but there hasn't actually been that many worker deaths in the last little while, aside from, like, the, I don't know, the splash damage of, like, an attack type thing. What I really like about this, though, is, like, this has been army for army again and again and again and again. He can't push up into this. There's no blinding cloud. It's just Hydras versus a planetary. There's no way that wins. So Beasty goes to the bottom left knowing that his base is secured. He's going to kill a hell of a lot of drones, and this is where it finally starts to hurt for Elazer, because while he had a bank in the past, he needed drones on these geysers to be mining the gas that he's lacking. Maxing out on Hydras, maxing out on, like, Vipers, like, this is not something he's able to afford to do anymore.
He's lost 36 drones. He's still at 60 or at 30 rather. That's not enough to get another bank here, and that might just be it for Elazer. I mean, it's still an army versus an army situation. They're both still on like a super ideal mining. Especially he lifted his top right command center, and any single time the Liberators are caught off guard, or the Banshees are caught off guard by the Hydras, that's an expensive loss for Beastyqt. But Elazer can't mine any gas. Just
that's
straight up,
be
he's like one mining.
And look at this, he actually, with no corruptors in play, no mutals, there's no way to actually touch either of these, like, there's no way to get to this army. Now, granted, that means BC also doesn't have those defending at home, but I feel the Liberators that are being produced, the Liberators he currently has, he can bring the Banshees back home, this army shouldn't be that big of a problem. Again, the Roaches are a temporary issue, but it's the Hydras. Once those go down, the push is over.
Oh, so expensive to the top right. For as much damage as Elazer did in the bottom left, I'm sure he thought he did a lot more crippling damage, but top right is now all of Beastyqt's.
I'm just still trying to assess, like, the idea of not going for Corruptors this game. And, like, the pros of Hydras and Roaches, you get to apply a lot more damage. You get to be more aggressive. Like, I understand that. But the fact that he's like, again, like, even just two Corruptors, right? Like, you're relying on energy from Vipers to abduct. Like, that's not gonna cut it. Well, look how costly this is. He loses like 7 Hydras to kill 3 Liberators.
For a time, Roach Hydra, or what was Ravager Hydra, basically, was working. Like, I can see why you would say, like, I didn't need Corruptors. And by the time he realized he needed Corruptors, he probably was out of all that gas. But even now, like, 4 Corruptors, 400 gas, could stop that type of situation where Liberators siege up and you can't touch them. Or at least force them to unsiege, and then that's when you run away, too. I mean, I agree, like, they could be very useful units controlled correctly, or incorrectly, they decided Liberated, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you just have to understand, like, there's a higher chance that all of those expensive Corruptors you build die than all of the Hydras dying. And a lot of that has to do with the way that...
Oh, did he kill his own hatchery with the...
He was sucking it off, I guess.
Oh my God.
Well, phrasing.
Whoa,
Viper...
phrasing, buddy.
Viper was consuming...
Oh, wow.
All right, that ties up the series 1-1.
Okay.
Gotta give some love, by the way, to Gareth Lewin. Thank you for that resub. Very fine gentleman, we'll say. Glad to have him back with us. We'll go into a small break as we get into game number 3, though. Both players could probably use a bit of a breather as well. So just 2 minutes, guys. Nothing long, nothing crazy. We'll see you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, everything is signed up now 1-1. Oops, gotta turn game sounds back on. There we go. Beasty with the cool no emoticons for good luck, have fun. Of course, I'm still not gonna... I love... It's such a silly, stupid thing to get excited about, but I love emotes. I love emotes on Twitch. I love emotes on StarCraft. I don't love emotes on Skype, because they ruined this face by turning it into like a literal cat. Skype, what are you doing? Yeah,
that's not... Well, they ruin a lot of emotes for me, actually, because they also ruin... I gotta be sure not to put it in all. They ruin this one. It's the dance emote, and it's supposed to just be like a wave.
Yeah, like, hey.
Hey.
All right. Anyways, enough terrible emote. This is the best emote coming up right here. It's the zombie grip emote. Hey-oh! Spawning on the
Rude.
top left side of Invader. It's going to be the blue Terran player, Beastyqt.
They don't have an emote for second off, so I guess you can't be an emote. In the bottom left, as the yellow Zerg, it is Elazer.
So go on, tell me more about sucking off. I'm all ears.
You're the pro.
You misspeak one time. I swear to God. So Elazer actually messaged me with something interesting and something a little alarming too, because I'm wondering if I trust a lot of these guys because they've been playing our tournaments for very long times. I don't imagine even with a 3-minute delay on stream, he has the stream open in the background, is listening to it or anything like that. But I think what we said, give us a moment for ads. Both players probably popped open the stream to see what the end of the game looked like.
Yeah.
And so he messaged me, and I guess in regards to what we were talking about, is he started. I didn't get to read it all because we hopped in the game, but he started to talk about something about an Ultralisk Great Max. And so my thoughts on this are like, regardless of whether it was, because I guess Banshee's gonna be fantastic against Ultras, Liberty's gonna be good against Ultras. I'm guessing it had a lot to do with our questioning of like why Corruptors versus no Corruptors. And
Yeah.
I guess logically speaking, like this could happen here on Invader, especially with the base layouts being what they are. If there's any situation where you're playing Air Mech and Ultras come into play, the frustrating thing is Banshees, as good as they are, and Liberators, as good as they are, they do still take a long time to clean up Ultras. Like a significant amount of time.
Yeah, we've seen Sky Terran still get broken by Ultras, even though it seems like they would be like the best against it, because Vipers are usually included, and there's fodder like in Queens transfusing and whatnot, but.
What was really interesting was back in HOTS. So like Sky Terran, like let's be clear guys, Sky Terran's not something new. Liberator part of it is, but Sky Terran itself has been around for a while. And the interesting thing to me was like when you had either the Golden Armada from Protoss, or whether you had Sky Terran, Commander Terran, ground units for Zerg, whether it was through Locusts or massive Ling Ultras, like there was ways to break Sky Terran without actually fighting Sky Terran.
That's true, but of course in Heart of the Swarm, I mean that the last game was fun, it was interesting, it was back and forth, it was at times a little bit stupid, but it was constant action. And some of that is because, like, the Swarm host unit doesn't really exist anymore, so there's no point in stalling out the game. It basically doesn't exist, like, everyone's unbounded. So, and the minerals have also changed that. So it's also the case that Beastyqt would have been so much happier staying on 3 bases, maybe not even 4, would never have had to spread out his units as much as he would have in Heart of the Swarm. Or in Legacy of the Void, if it was Heart of the Swarm. He would just stayed in, like, the same 3 places and been like, okay, come at me, bro. And that's when you get maxed out. And that seemed to be a lot of Beastyqt's problem for a long time. Even though he eventually won, he just couldn't get maxed out.
So I figured with the third base being shut down, like I didn't know if this was a fake or what the deal was, but the layer I thought was just going to be fast Sputas, but nope, completely wrong. Not enough gases for it. It is going to be a Nidus Worm.
Yeah.
Now, what's great about this, and this is what I really like about what Elazer's chosen to do here, is I feel like this is counter to Beastie. This isn't counter to necessarily Terran or like Air Mech styles, but it's specifically the fact that Beastie's played the same opener almost 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
This works out really well. Now, Hellbats and a Liberator positioned well, and SCV's on top of the Nidus from right away. This is something you can deal with,
like,
but
it's like right there.
He's not pulling anything forward. That Liberator's going to set up on top of it. SCVs need to be on top of this, though. This is the scary thing. Like, you can't rely on this. There's no Hellbats yet. The damage isn't enough to actually kill the Nidus Worm itself. That's the chance is come into play.
He like blocked out his own Hellions, and they were on top of the Nidus Worm immediately. So of course the transfuses went down, but not enough.
Oh
well, maybe enough.
It's almost manageable. He killed a lot of the roaches, and quite frankly,
that's all the roaches, and it doesn't even matter if the Nidus Worm's up or not. Like that's not a very scary amount.
Armory's almost done too. Hellbats will make this a lot easier to manage, especially if it's a follow-up. But it's worth noting Elazer had a lot more units in that Nidus Worm he didn't unload. Like, that was actually not a full unload from the Nidus Worm. Like, I think they were just rallied in after the first one's unloaded. But point of this being,
that's
16 workers I don't think was enough killed for this.
No, absolutely not. If it was 2 base, I'd be like, okay, well, whatever. But it's actually 3 base. The command center finished. The orbital finished for Beastyqt.
Yeah.
This is going to be game over unless the second Nidus Worm can do more damage. But Elazer is kind of, I guess, in between right now. He's building a Nidus, but he's also building drones.
And the command center might get lifted, but to be honest, like a temporary base denial like this is not the end of the world. In fact, we see probably better off just running the Hellions across the map now that there's no defense back at home. And in fact, that's what he's going to do. I guess a Queen will eventually whittle away at this, but
So the good news is that Ravagers are finally here. That was the one thing that was missing, you know? Like there's only 4 Roaches that came out of that Nidus Swarm initially, so none of them are going to turn into Ravagers before they died. Now he has a couple, he can try and take care of the Liberators. Drones are going to go down though, and that one Queen's going to take quite a while to chip through 3 Hellions, and the drones they're not trying to help, they're not trying to move, they're just dying.
Boochies. All right, well, that's 11 drones dead on the other side of the map for a pretty all-in build. BC looking a little bit better for it. He does take another command center over here. I think getting SCVs over there would be a bit dangerous, but at least mule that location instead of your main, since you may be stuck in your main for quite some time with this build.
Well, things are still a little bit complicated, despite Elazer initial, attack doing very, very poorly.
Is this like Facebook complicated, though, or what type of complicated?
I think it is Facebook complicated. They both would recognize that. But seriously, like, with Ravagers out, suddenly the Liberators aren't quite scary, but as I said that, they're dying, so never mind.
Yeah, and as the last Queens start getting picked off.
Yeah, he didn't wait for production, though, so he lost out on... So he lost out on 2 orbitals building SCVs, as one was lifted and one is still lifted, but he's building 2 SCVs at a time still, so that usual, like, instant, gap filler of 3 CC for all the SCVs you lost wasn't here, so maybe Elazer has done enough.
Another thing, too, well, it's not as bad as it was in the past. I like the creep spread, denying some of the potential to land this command center. Beasty, though, losing out on a tank lab is a pretty big deal. That Nidus Swarm actually has nothing to kill it.
Yeah, that's what's another thing that's pretty awkward and complicated. The Hellbats are really it, and Beastyqt doesn't really want to build any more factories.
Oh no, and Elazer, he's gotten that 3rd base up. He's got a Spire on the way. Well, Beasty's kind of holding on with what he has now. I don't know that he's gonna have the numbers to deal with what comes up next. Oh, this would be nice if we pick up those Ravagers.
The creep spread, a real bother as well. Something else you need those Hellions for, and scans, of which he still has 1 orbital lifted. This is not enough damage. Beastyqt.
If he was paying attention there, he could have caught all the Ravagers, by the way. Small mistake out of Beasty.
Yeah, 24 SCVs killed for an all-in on versus a 3 CC. I would not say is usually enough, but 24 SCVs plus denial on remaking the SCVs and denial on at least one of the CCs from landing is enough.
Yeah, I mean, he should really just bring this back and start at least dropping mules with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, now it's unfortunate. Once again, it's awkward because his main is so mined out that you're really not getting anything from muling it and SCVing it. You can mule there, yeah, that's true. But
so I don't believe Elazer knows about that base. In fact, no, he doesn't. Confirming.
No. He really wants to get rid of this creep, but the Elazer keeps on spreading it.
Yeah, that's actually... I don't know if the Hellbats can kill all 3 tumors in one scan.
No. If they had
the
help
SCVs split. If the SCVs go to this one...
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe the SCVs went to this one. Come on, Hellbats!
Oh, get it! Alright, there we go, finally. Now, creep does recede a lot faster than it did in the past, but it's still going to take time, and time is not on Beasty's side. Elazer's taking a 4th. Again, mutas are in play. This is... He's got to be very particular with his entire army, because losing any Hellions, much less Liberators, not going to be acceptable losses. In fact, oh no, Elazer's going to find his base. He doesn't know about it, but it's going to be a freebie.
Oh, whoopsie. Yeah, and there's almost a turret to put down. There's an engineering bay.
So the Liberators,
they can take care of one thing but not the other, and all he saw right so far was the Roaches. Now he sees the mutas, but he really can't move the Liberators. Because Roaches are starting to come out. Lings are starting to come out too. I guess you got to deal with the Hellion run by first. This is actually a bad game for BC.
This isn't that much damage. So I mean, the mutas shouldn't kill the CC.
Well,
the SCV's dying kind of sucks. He's gonna get some drone kills to try and make up for this on the other side of the map, but it's not enough.
It's still a situation where BaseTradeTV needs a hidden base though. If he tries, whoopsie. If he just tries to take a regular 3rd base, that's gonna be too far out to protect.
Where are those? There's the Liberators. Okay, they're coming in now. Yeah, regular 3rd, any 3rd is going to be tough for him in this situation. Look at the spread, by the way, out of Elazer, trying to minimize that splash damage from the Liberators. Does take out all the mutas. Now you just siege them up for the ground army. There's no Ravagers this time around. It is just Roaches.
Oh, he can hold for now, but he did lose a bunch more SCVs to a couple of links.
Mining, pretty much, too.
Yeah, because he no longer has that secret mining base. His main is completely mined out. Elazer has done it. This is definitely game over. Well... persistence. That's the key with Zerg.
Yeah, it's the only race you could go something so dedicated as a Nidus Swarm, have it fail and still win in a lot of situations. GG, though, does get called, and Elazer will advance onto the brackets.
Yes, sir.
I do hope we'll see Beastyqt in the next set of qualifiers, though.
Mm-hmm.
May have lost, but good games nonetheless. I'll leave you to find our next match. Looks like Xanster did beat Drogo, and we've got Zerg all over the bracket. Guru, Lambo, Xanster, Raynor, Nurchio, sort of, Elazer.
Oh, great.
Looks like Lilligany lost, by the way. So, while Mugier Trails is a PV Botvinnik, I think we should wait on that because Botvinnik has shown some really good games recently versus Protoss.
Okay. It's fine with me.
All right, well, we're going to go to a small break. Word from our sponsors. This one's going to be from TING, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll give you guys which one. I just... They don't care which ads we play. We just have to play like a certain amount. So I'm going to go with the coverage one. No, we'll go with the rates. So you guys can learn about TING rates. By the way, TING is something that is only for if you're in the United States of America. I got to use it recently. They gave me a SIM card while we were in Austin, Texas for like 11 days. I had pretty good service with them. I'm really glad I can say that now too, because TING is like the only sponsor we've picked up where I haven't actually used their services until recently. And I'm really glad to say that now that I have. I'm pretty stoked with them. Good service, good people. So yeah, here's the commercial. We'll see you guys soon.